Welcome back to Firepower. Before we get into this, do me a favor. Smash that subscribe button and hit the bell because what I'm about to walk you through will change how every gun owner thinks about travel, self-defense, and police interactions for years to come. In September, a cascade of court rulings landed across multiple federal benches and circuit courts. And together, they functionally rewrote the rules of the road for firearm ownership. 10 major legal shifts emerged from those decisions, and they aren't academic. They affect you now. I'm going to cut through the legalese, show you exactly what changed, and tell you the things you should do in the next 72 hours to protect your rights and your freedom. This is not legal advice, it's situational awareness. Treat it like the field briefing it is. Start with the biggest shock. State and dealer registries that quietly tracked gun purchases for decades have been declared unlawful in multiple rulings. Systems that once linked names, addresses, and serial numbers are being ordered destroyed. If your state or a local dealer maintained a searchable database of purchases, the courts are telling them to wipe that data and confirm the deletion in writing within a deadline. That change alone removes a target off millions of backs overnight, but it also creates immediate paperwork you need to request and retain. Print the confirmation, archive it. If you discover a registry in your state, ask for written proof that your records have been purged. If the state resists, document the refusal and contact counsel. Closely tied to registries is how the courts now treat seizure and so-called red flag actions. Several rulings tighten the standard for temporary or administrative seizures, making it clear that authorities can't simply remove firearms from citizens without a concrete legal basis. In plain English, casual or preventive confiscation without arrest, without timely judicial review, and without prosecution is far less defensible. If officers show up to seize a weapon, politely and calmly ask for the legal basis, the statute, the warrant, or the order. Record the interaction if you can lawfully do so, get badge numbers, and demand a written inventory. Do not resist physically. Follow legal instructions while preserving proof and calling an attorney immediately. Equally consequential is the erosion of qualified immunity where Second Amendment violations are concerned. Courts are now more willing to allow civil suits against officers who unlawfully confiscate firearms or otherwise trample established gun rights. That puts personal liability on the line for law enforcement officers who act outside clearly defined law. Practically, this means unlawful seizures are now riskier for the officers involved and more reparable for victims. It also means you should document every interaction, take videos, record names, and preserve a chain of evidence. Those records will matter in civil court and in making any criminal defense. Permit recognition and processing got a major overhaul. The rulings establish a national baseline for permit reciprocity and strict time limits for processing applications. If your state has taken forever to issue permits, those days are numbered. Courts are demanding timely adjudication and capping the governments to invent subjective good cause reasons for denials. This changes travel planning for gun owners immediately. Before you cross state lines, print your valid permit. Bring the statute language that shows your permit's reciprocity and keep a travel log. If authorities question you, produce documents calmly and request clarification in writing. At home, the legal landscape shifted in a way that matters when the worst happens. Castle Doctrine protections were strengthened, and the burden of proof in many jurisdictions has tilted toward defendants in home defense cases. Prosecutors can no longer rely on routine prosecutions of homeowners who use force inside their homes as their default play. In many of the new rulings, the state must now prove beyond a reasonable doubt that a homeowner's use of force was not justified. If you ever need to use a firearm to stop an intrusion, remember, secure the scene if safely possible, call law enforcement, avoid volunteering narratives beyond essential facts, and contact counsel immediately. Preserve any evidence you can, and get witness statements as soon as practicable. Ammunition, long treated as an ancillary item, got explicit constitutional protection in multiple opinions. Limits on purchase quantities, mandatory registries for ammunition purchases, and invasive tracking schemes are now facing strict scrutiny. Keep your receipts and records of purchase. Avoid voluntary, consumer-facing databases that track ammunition or gun accessories. If your state attempts to institute purchase caps or digital tracking, know that courts are now viewing those measures with skepticism and demanding a compelling governmental interest before they will stand. The rulings also reached into technology and privacy. Judges have pushed back on efforts to use location, social media data, or third-party data sets to target gun owners for surveillance or enforcement without a proper warrant. That means location-based enforcement tied to gun purchases is far less lawful unless the state secures a warrant based on probable cause. Protect your digital privacy accordingly. Lock down location settings, minimize data sharing with commercial platforms, and be cautious about posting firearm ownership details online. One of the more controversial but consequential decisions protects home manufacturing under defined circumstances. Courts recognize the line between a person making a firearm for personal use and commercial production that implicates different regulatory frameworks. If you are in the home build or 80% community, be meticulous about compliance. Document that the build is for personal use, avoid intent to sell language, and consult counsel on serialization and transfer law. This is a fast-developing area, and states will test the edges, so err on the side of documented caution. On the commerce and dealer side, the courts limited administrative overreach. The ATF's practice of revoking federal firearms licenses for minor paperwork errors drew criticism, and judges are increasingly requiring proof of criminal conduct before stripping a dealer of their livelihood. For FFL holders, that means demand written warnings and reasonable cure periods before punitive action can be taken. For buyers, it means supporting local shops and confirming their compliance policies. If an FFL tells you they may be shut down for paperwork, ask to see the written notice and timeline. Those notices matter in court. Vehicle transport rules loosened in useful ways. Properly secured firearms transported according to federal standards, unloaded, in a locked container with ammo stored separately, receive stronger protection against searches and probable cause claims. That does not mean borders or state lines are a free pass. It means if you follow the rules, you have a meaningful defense. Keep an organized travel kit, a printed copy of the federal transport statute, your permit, receipts for recent ammo purchases, and a log of where you placed firearms during travel. If stopped, present those items calmly and request to speak with counsel before consenting to searches. All of these changes create immediate practical consequences and a new set of responsibilities. First, make a plan. Print a one-page summary of the new rulings that applies to your state. Then call and ask your state attorney general's office or a trusted civil rights attorney for confirmation of local implementation. Second, run a records audit right now. Ask your dealer and local law enforcement whether registry data about you exists, and demand written confirmation that any illegal registries will be purged. Third, update your emergency contacts to include a criminal defense attorney experienced in Second Amendment litigation, and store their number where you can reach it in a crisis. There are 3 scenarios you must prepare for today. If you travel across state lines, keep hard copies of permits, the reciprocity statute, and a travel logs. If you have to use force at home, preserve the scene when safe, call the police, and contact counsel immediately. Do not craft a story for social media or volunteer unnecessary details. If law enforcement appears at your door seeking to seize firearms, ask calmly for the warrant, the precise statutory authority, and record everything. Do not resist physically, but preserve proof and legal representation. Make no mistake. Opponents of these changes are already drafting new statutes that attempt to achieve the same ends under different names. Expect safety certification schemes, ammo-fronted regulation, and creative administrative workarounds. That means this fight moves to legislatures as quickly as it moves through courtrooms. Your legal position is stronger today than it was last month, but vigilance is still required. If you want one practical checklist to act on in the next 72 hours, here it is. Print the one-page rule summary for your state. Request written confirmation from any dealer or agency that holds purchase records. Create a travel kit with permit copies, statutory printouts, and receipts. Identify and store contact information for a Second Amendment lawyer. And run a 300 to 500 round reliability and handling check if you rely on a particular firearm for defense. Do not destroy records or take any illegal actions thinking you're shielding yourself. Preserve evidence and act within the law. We'll be posting a downloadable checklist in the description and a state-by-state explainer next week, so drop your state in the comments if you want priority coverage. If this update helped you protect yourself or someone you love, share it with a friend who owns firearms. And one last thing. This channel will keep tracking every legislative reaction and court filing as these rulings get implemented. I'll bring you clear, practical steps, not panic. Remember, knowledge is your first line of defense. Stay sharp, stay legal, and stay free. This is Firepower, signing off.